Hi everyone, welcome back to our second and final video about understanding the basic structure of putting together an IRAC paragraph. In video number 1, we covered the issue sentence, the topic sentence, which is the topic sentence. Then we covered the rule sentence, and we discussed how the rule sentence should look like this one, which is a takeaway rule from your cited case, followed by a full citation to your cited case, and then another 1 to 3 sentences where you explain how that rule was applied in your cited case, because that gives your reader more extensive context to understand why you chose that precedent and how that rule of law was applied in the precedent. So now we have to finish the IRAC paragraph with both analysis and conclusion. So we've got the rule sentence, and then the next sentence, still keeping in the same paragraph, is the analysis sentence. And the analysis sentence, and again, this should be more than one sentence, should begin with a transition called "in our case," or "similarly," or "by contrast." The reason we need a transition between the rule sentences and the analysis is that we are now moving from a series of sentences, the rule, where you are discussing only your cited cases, your research, your precedent. We haven't really mentioned your client at all, but now in the analysis, we're going to transition and come into the portion of the IRAC paragraph where you discuss your client's facts. So in order to make that transition, we like a phrase like "in our case," or "similarly." Maybe it's "by contrast" if the cited case is very different from your client's case. And then you immediately transition into somewhere between 2 to 4 sentences where you now talk about your client's facts. So I want you to kind of see how the structure comes together. A general issue sentence where you identify the issue that you're discussing, then immediately into the case precedent. So, what does the existing law say about this area? And then you say, okay, now that I've got an idea about what the existing law says, how does this apply to my client? And I say 2 to 4 sentences here, and I really do mean that. It's really important to kind of highlight and explain your client's facts here so that the reader can really take a hard look at your client's facts and say, yeah, I see where what happened to this particular client will come out this way. So again, in keeping with an example from the Harris versus Sack and Shop example in your book, they use this exact transition that I recommend, which is "in our case, Sack and Shop's employee had 2 days to clean the floor before Harris fell. That could be considered a failure to clean the floor, or the employee created a hazardous situation by dropping the peel on the floor and not cleaning it up." So you can see that it's not like a quick rush to a conclusion, but a real explanation about what was happening in the client's case. We'll continue to build on the analysis, but again, keep that structure in mind where you begin with the transition, like "in our case," and then focus on the facts of your client's case. We'll also point out that sometimes it seems like you're pointing out facts that are really obvious, and that's okay too, because even the obvious facts need to be stated because your reader may not know them. Okay, last but certainly not least, we transition into the conclusion. So let's go down there. Now, the conclusion is exactly what it sounds like. It should be the last sentence of your IRAC paragraph. Exactly like the issue, it's one sentence, and it should actually mirror and answer your issue. So if your issue is, the issue is whether Sack and Shop breached a duty of reasonable care to Harris, then your conclusion can just answer that. Therefore, Sack and Shop breached a duty of care to Harris. I really like concluding transitions like therefore or thus. It's also much like the transition in the analysis section. It's a really good signal to your reader that you are now closing the IRAC paragraph and you're concluding your entire paragraph. So again, keeping in mind, issue sentence and conclusion are going to be only one sentence each. The rule section is going to be longer, and the analysis is going to be longer. But if you follow the structure set up in this PowerPoint and in the handouts in this section, you will be able to write any legal analysis based on prior precedent and your client's facts. Now, some other pieces that we will continue to refine and discuss through both LRW 1 and 2 is making sure our citations look accurate and using short cites. So we'll talk about how to weave that in. We will also talk about how to use 2 court cases or even 3. For the most part, I'm going to focus on using just 1 case at a time so you can see what the structure is. But should you desire to use 2 cases to make your point, I will show you how to do that. And it's the hint is it's not a whole nother IRAC paragraph. The rule section just gets longer, and we cite 2 cases for the same point of law, much like the sack and chop example did for the breach of duty of care, if you want to see what that looks like. So more to come on that, but this is a nice, quick, short video to end IRAC. If you have any questions about this, obviously reach out and let me know.